Welcome to BYOFAQ, the unofficial FAQ for the workplace.
This is episode 3 of our 4-part DISC series. Today we're decoding the anchor the high S personality.
Quick orientation. DISC is a way of describing how people operate at work, not who they are, how they show up when the pressure's on. 4 patterns.
Dominance, the commander drives action. Influence, the entertainer drives energy. Steadiness, the anchor drives stability. Conscientiousness, the architect, drives precision. Most people are a blend. Almost nobody's pure anything. But 1 or 2 of these usually run the room when the heat's on. That's what we're decoding.
Today, the anchor.
Yeah, so if you just imagine the quietest person in your office right now, like the one who, rarely interrupts in meetings.
Right, the one who absolutely never fights for the microphone.
Exactly. What if I told you that they are likely carrying the entire emotional and logistical weight of your department?
I mean, I'd believe it. We really have to transition from the theory of the whole DISC framework right into the observable reality of these folks.
Yeah, because they're hidden. Unlike a commander who, kicks the door down, or the entertainer who basically hosts the party, the anchor just doesn't naturally draw attention to themselves.
No, they don't. You really have to know how to spot them in the wild.
Right. And if you map out the DISC quadrants, the high S sits squarely at this intersection of being reserved and being people-focused.
Reserved meaning what exactly? Just shy?
Well, no, not necessarily shy. Reserved simply means their energy is contained. They aren't aggressively pushing their agenda outward onto other people.
Ah, okay, so it's more about how they direct their energy.
Exactly. And the people-focused part means their radar is constantly scanning the human element of the room. Like they are running this continuous background calculation.
Oh, man, just nonstop processing.
Yeah. Checking how everyone is feeling, how the workload is distributed, whether the group is actually cohesive. But they do all of this completely quietly.
You know, I used to describe them as the shock absorbers on a car.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. Because you absolutely do not notice your shock absorbers when you're just driving down a nice, smooth road.
You totally take them for granted.
Exactly. You take them completely for granted. And it's only when they fail, or like when you hit a massive pothole and the whole ride falls apart, that you realize they were the ones making sure the project actually shipped without shaking us all to pieces.
That's so true. But I almost feel like that analogy is a little too mechanical. Like it misses the intentionality behind what they do.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So what's a better way to look at it?
Well, I like the difference between a thermometer and a thermostat.
Okay, lay that out for me.
So a high D, a commander, might act like a thermometer. They walk in, they sense a problem, read the temperature, and loudly announce that the room is on fire.
Yeah, we're burned down over here. Let's go.
Right, exactly. But a high S, they're a thermostat. They're constantly reading that emotional temperature of the room. And when things get too heated, they quietly kick on the air conditioning.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And when things get too cold, or disconnected, they quietly turn up the heat. They regulate the environment.
And you can really spot this regulation in how they converse, too.
Oh, absolutely. How so?
Well, if you ask an anchor a complex question, they rarely fire back an immediate answer. Like they just pause. They say, let me think about that for a second.
Yeah, and that pause, it isn't because they don't know the answer or because they're slow.
No, not at all. They are basically running a mental simulation in that moment.
Right, calculating the impact.
Exactly. They're calculating not just the factual answer, but how that specific answer is going to land with every single person involved. They are mapping the blast radius of their words before they even speak them.
Which is why their vocal tone usually matches that intention. It remains, measured, calm, very deliberate.
You see this translated into their written communication as well, right?
Oh, 100%. A high S doesn't just blast out a one-line mandate about a new deadline.
No. The bottom line up front is too blunt for them.
Exactly. They write emails that proactively anticipate your anxiety.
Yep.
They'll say something like, FYI, the launch got moved to Friday. Just wanted to give you a heads up early so you have time to adjust your schedule.
Because they wrap the directive in context, the relationship matters just as much as the actual task to them.
Right. And actually, the best way to visualize this is through fiction.
Oh, yeah, let's do some examples.
Think about Hermione Granger.
Oh, textbook high S.
Right. She actively dislikes the spotlight. She's dependable, fiercely loyal, and she is the one doing all the grueling, unglamorous background research to keep her friends safe.
Yeah, to keep everyone moving forward. Or, hey, think about Coach Beard.
Oh, that's a great one.
Right? He just absorbs the chaos around him. He never centers himself, but he holds the baseline steady so the grand plans don't just fly completely off the rails.
Exactly. Or Samwise Gamgee.
Oh, yes. The ultimate.
He literally carries the person who is carrying the burden. Like, I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. That is just peak anchor energy.
It really is. But, those examples highlight their baseline state.
Right, when things are relatively okay.
Yeah. The true test of any DISC profile, though, is a pressure cooker. We have to look at what happens when the building is actually on fire.
This is where it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Because a high S fundamentally wants three things to feel secure. They want stability, harmony, and the sense that they're actively contributing to the team's well-being.
So what happens when the stakes go up? Like the timeline shrinks or a major client threatens to leave?
Well, their default biological reaction is to withdraw. They suppress their own needs completely.
Right. The internal monologue completely shifts on them.
Yeah, they stop asking, what do I need right now to survive this?
Yeah.
And they start asking, what does the team need for me to not fall apart?
Which, honestly sounds incredibly noble on paper.
It does. It sounds heroic.
It really does.
Yeah.
But in practice, I have seen the dark side of this.
Oh, the burnout.
Yes. They will quietly work through the entire weekend, skip their own vacations, completely ignore their bandwidth, and they will never complain once.
Their natural desire for stability just becomes a massive vulnerability.
Exactly. They avoid direct conflict at almost any cost. I've personally watched anchors stay in totally toxic working relationships for years, literally just to avoid having one hard, uncomfortable conversation.
And the psychology behind that conflict avoidance it's critical to understand. To an anchor, interpersonal conflict registers as a systemic threat.
A systemic threat, wow.
Yeah, it completely destabilizes the harmony they rely on to function. So because they fear rocking the boat, their blind spots become quite severe.
Right, like over-functioning to the point of total burnout simply because they cannot bring themselves to say no.
Or heavily resisting necessary change, even objectively good change, because the transition period itself feels inherently chaotic to them.
I have a massive failure on my resume regarding this exact trait.
Wait, really? What happened?
Yeah, I had an anchor on my team who knew a major software launch had a fatal flaw. They knew it weeks in advance.
Oh, no. And they didn't say anything.
They stayed completely quiet in every all-hands meeting. We launched, it broke, and the fallout was catastrophic.
Wow. That's a nightmare.
I was furious. I pulled them aside and I just said, if you care so much about the team's success, why would you let us drive off a cliff? Staying quiet was actually way more dangerous.
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough conversation.
It was, and I just kept thinking, how does a high S justify staying quiet if they supposedly care about everyone so much?
Well, the logic there is sound to them. But a high S isn't doing logistical calculus in that moment.
What do you mean?
They are doing relational calculus.
Oh, right.
When you look at the future cost of a system failure, you see a business metric, right?
Yeah, dollars and cents, timelines.
Exactly. But when a high S considers speaking up in a crowded room to say, the director's plan is completely flawed, they see immediate, tangible, emotional damage to a relationship.
So they weigh the immediate, guaranteed cost of conflict as way heavier than the theoretical future cost of a project failing.
Exactly. They tell themselves a story to justify the silence. Like, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe the commander will notice it, and I won't have to be the bad guy.
Wow. They prioritize the immediate harmony of the group over the long-term mechanics of the project.
They really do.
Yeah.
And that dynamic shifts the burden of management entirely onto you.
Right, because an anchor is simply not going to explicitly tell you when they are drowning.
Or when the project is failing, or when they're overloaded. They just assume that if they keep their head down and endure, the harmony will eventually return.
So the responsibility falls to you to create an environment where their insight can surface without triggering that threat response.
Yes. Which leads us perfectly into the care and feeding of an anchor.
Let's get into it. Because if you just manage them the way you manage a commander, like just throwing them in the deep end and saying, figure it out, you will break them.
You will absolutely break them. The foundation of managing a high S is predictability. The golden rule is no surprises.
No surprises.
Right. If you schedule a one-on-one for Friday at 10 a.m., you hold that meeting at 10 a.m. Moving it 3 times signals to them that the environment is unstable.
That makes sense.
But beyond the calendar, there's a conversational protocol. You really must acknowledge the human relationship before you talk business.
I used to think this was just forced politeness.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of fast-moving operators, they just walk up to a desk and say, hey, we're the Q3 number.
Oh, yeah, that is harsh for high S.
For an anchor, skipping the relational check-in like, how was your weekend? How was the family? It feels incredibly jarring.
Because it's not just small talk to them.
Exactly. For them, that human connection is the handshake protocol that allows their operating system to trust you.
I love that, a handshake protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the relational safety isn't established first, the work execution will always be hesitant.
And when you do finally transition to the work, the framing is just as important. Handing down a sterile directive does not motivate them. A high S needs to understand the why in human terms.
Right, so if you say, we need to cut processing time by 15%, you might get compliance, but that's about it.
Exactly. But if you say, we are shifting this process because it will reduce the overtime burden on the engineering team and get everyone home to their families earlier, you completely alter their engagement.
You've tied the task to their core drive, helping people.
Yes. Now, delegation is another huge trap here.
Oh, delegation is huge. I personally love autonomy. I love being told, here is a massive, undefined problem. Go solve it however you want.
Yeah, sure, for you.
Yeah.
But if you hand a blank canvas to an anchor, it is their absolute nightmare.
A total minefield.
Right. They don't see freedom. They see a minefield of potential mistakes that could negatively impact other people. You really have to give them the blueprint.
But giving a blueprint doesn't mean micromanaging them, right?
No, not at all. It means defining the boundaries of what is safe. They crave clear direction, an understanding of how their specific piece fits into the larger puzzle, and schedule check-ins.
Scheduled is the key word there. Surprise pop-ins are detrimental.
Oh, they hate surprise pop-ins. A manager just dropping by and saying, hey, just seeing where you're at, triggers an immediate alarm for a high S.
They instantly assume they are failing and that you've lost trust in them.
Exactly.
And that brings up the hardest part of managing this profile, which is feedback.
Yeah, this is tricky.
I remember early in my career, I had an incredibly competent high S on my team who just never spoke up. I pulled them into a meeting and said, look, you are too quiet. You just need to be more assertive.
Oh, boy. How did that go?
It was a complete disaster. They completely shut down. I was essentially demanding they change their entire personality on the spot.
Yeah, demanding assertiveness from someone who views assertiveness as aggression will literally always backfire. Feedback for a high S requires a very specific architecture. First, it must always be private. Critiquing them in front of the group completely mortifies them.
Right.
Second, the feedback needs to be framed around the very things they care about. Instead of criticizing their lack of volume, you connect their silence to the team's vulnerability.
You flip the script on them.
Exactly.
You say, I know how much you care about team harmony and keeping us safe, but when you stay quiet about a risk you've spotted in the timeline, you're actually robbing the team of that safety. We need your perspective to protect the project.
Yes. You are taking the hard action speaking up and linking it to their core motivation, which is protecting the team.
That's powerful.
As a leader, you have to actively coach them on their boundaries. You almost have to grant them explicit permission to take up space.
You really do. You look them in the eye and tell them, it is okay for you to say no to me if this new assignment pushes you past your capacity.
Because an anchor often assumes their steady, reliable work speaks for itself. And in most chaotic workplaces,
It simply doesn't.
no, it doesn't. They need explicit validation that their specific way of operating is actually valued.
Which means we have to spend a little time on why that steady operation is so vital.
Let's do it.
Because we talk a lot about their conflict avoidance, their need for predictable schedules, their fear of change. It can almost sound like they are fragile.
Right. But the reality is the exact opposite.
Exactly. When you look at the core gift of the anchor, they are the most vital people in your organization because they create coherence.
Coherence is the perfect metric for their impact. They make a team trustworthy.
Yeah.
While the commanders are pointing at a hill 10 miles away, demanding the team take it, and the entertainers are, getting everyone hyped up for the march.
The high S is the one actually looking at the map.
Exactly. They are methodically checking if step 2 connects to step 3. They are mapping all the dependencies.
They're the ones asking, do we actually have enough water for the climb? Are everyone's boots tied? If marketing launches this early, will it break the customer service queue?
Yes, They're the ones you want in the trenches with you when things get genuinely ugly.
Absolutely. I have been in the room when a massive crisis hits, like server goes down, millions of dollars on the line.
Oh, the tension is insane.
It's wild. The commanders start barking contradictory orders. The entertainers start panicking or trying to deflect with humor. The architects freeze up, trying to analyze every possible variable.
And the anchor?
The anchor is just sitting there, not panicking, holding the line. If the high S looks calm and tells you they have a handle on the rollback protocol, the rest of the team inherently believes it.
Because they are the grounding wire for the entire operation.
The absolute grounding wire.
They prove that a person can hold a system together and push it forward simultaneously, just at a more sustainable pace.
Yeah.
Modern corporate culture constantly glorifies the idea of moving fast and breaking things. But the high S is the one sweeping up the broken glass and making sure nobody bleeds out.
They engineer psychological safety.
Precisely. A team that feels safe. A team that knows someone is watching the dependencies and guarding the baseline is a team that can actually execute on high-level risks.
The stability they provide is the platform that allows everyone else in the building to jump. You cannot leap if you do not have solid ground to push off from.
That's a great way to put it.
The goal of understanding a high S isn't to force them to be loud. It's not about turning your thermostat into a fire alarm. It's about creating an environment where their quiet, systemic wisdom is actively invited into the room.
And that shift in perspective changes how you allocate talent entirely. You stop viewing quietness as a lack of engagement, and you start recognizing it as active, high-level processing.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Think about the quietest person on your team right now, the one who always takes the notes, who never interrupts, who just steadily ships the work week after week. Are you assuming they have nothing to say?
Or are they a high S who is currently carrying the emotional and logistical weight of your entire project?
What happens if you sit down with them this week, in private, give them the floor, and simply ask, what are you seeing that the rest of us are missing? I guarantee you the answer will change how you see your own team.
Next time, we'll wrap up our foundation series with the final DISC quadrant. We're decoding the high C, the architect, the ones who ask why and demand precision.
You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep decoding.